Good afternoon, Chairman and Councillors. The residents of the neighbouring properties have concerns that the application for tourist accommodation is not appropriate in this location and it will have a detrimental impact on their enjoyment of their properties. The introduction of this amount of tourism will result in an increase in noise and disturbance to residents, especially if the chalets are rented by families or large groups. The chalets to the west are in close proximity to 249, whose garden adjoins the site, and will be impacted by increased noise from holiday makers utilising outside areas. The extra traffic along the lane will also increase noise pollution, especially for number 253A, whose garden adjoins the lane. The proposed development is not suitable in this location and is contrary to planning policy set out in the local plans. The site lies within the designated countryside and also within the Fareham-Southington strategic gap, where policy aims to restrict developments to what is necessary. Whilst there is no objection to the principle of tourism in the countryside, there is no overriding reason to provide residential accommodation on this site, with no connection to any recreational activity in the vicinity. The site is not located within a sustainable place and is not within walking distance of any shops or facilities. There is no public transport nearby. Visitors will therefore need to use their vehicles to explore the area. In terms of the strategic gap, the purpose of this policy is to restrict new developments in the gaps between settlements. This proposal will physically occupy the gap and make it appear more developed. The site also has an extensive history of contamination problems. The environmental statement submitted with the application fails to mention the site's extensive use for braking vehicles over the extended period, the fact that the site was heavily polluted with oils and other contaminants, and the enforcement action was taken against these activities in the 1980s and 1990s. It appears that the EHO's recommendations are based on this report and not on the actual history of the site. Given that it is known that the site was contaminated, it is respectfully suggested that a desktop study, as requested by Condition 11, is not adequate, and details of what is there and what can be done should be available before a planning decision is made. The site is located to the east of several ecological important sites, including Titchfield Nature Reserve, the Solent and Southampton Water Ramsar site, and it lies within the Solent Special Protection Area. Tourists are more likely to explore the nature reserve and adjacent coastline than local residents, placing more pressure on the protected areas. Finally, the report reminds members that the Council is currently back in a 5-year housing land supply. Although this is correct, this is not relevant to this application, as tourist accommodation does not count towards housing numbers. However, if this would be counted towards housing numbers, this is located in the countryside and again would be contrary to policy CS14, which restricts dwellings in the countryside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.